mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
Hey, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of I Mix What I Like right here at Black Power Media. Again, I'm Jared Ball, very happy to be your host. And before we go any farther, just a big shout out and congratulations to us. We hit that 15,000 subscriber mark. So thanks to everybody who made that happen. And let's keep it going. Hit that like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And do all the things. But anyway, big shout out to all of you and to my BPM comrades and the whole collective, all of that. That's I think pretty good, pretty big, considering it's only been a year, considering the entire media landscape against which we are struggling and operating, the analytics, the shadow banning, and all the other kind of nonsense that goes on. And given the politics and perspectives we share here, I'm very happy that we hit that sort of milestone, and it suggests that you all have been carrying the word, so to speak. So again, thanks to all of you for making that happen, and greetings to all of you. We have a big show this morning, a lot to get to, and right out the gate, I'll come back and hopefully re-engage a little bit this morning with some of the folks, the remixers in the chat. I don't mean to rush through it, but we do have a lot to get to, a number of guests, some clips, a whole bunch of stuff, and a couple of stories even before we get to the whole issue and the incredible webinar that I was a small part of, that the Coalition to Free Ruchell Magee put together. We're going to hear from some of them and some of probably play a couple of the clips, but the entire webinar is going to be made available on this channel starting at 10 a.m. It'll premiere at 10 a.m. and you can hear in full from Angela Davis and Robin Kelly and Jaleel Muntakeen and Eugene Puryear and Jonathan Jackson Jr. and just a whole bunch of good folks. So anyway, so we'll get into some of that as well. But to start off with, we do want to continue to cover what's been going on at Howard University. Again, something not only because I'm at Morgan State in Baltimore and the sort of sister rivalry we have, but more importantly because of the broader sort of collective I consider myself a part of, that is faculty, more specifically HBCU faculty and Black faculty within the university, and all of these overlapping issues. So to continue to get a little bit more of an update and try to watch what's going on over there, we have joining us is Dr. Aisha Bonner Kozad, and please correct me when I bring you up if necessary, who among other things is a lecturer at Howard University, which is itself, as we talked a little bit about, a precarious position to be in. So we welcome you and appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you very much. Dr. Kozad, did I say that correctly?
Kozad, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm actually an adjunct, so even lower on the totem pole,
right.
as it is. So
right. Well, so then even more, thank you even more for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. So we talked a little bit last week. We were just following the news and read some of what faculty were calling for, but if you can just sort of lay out as much of the background as you would like, and then tell us what is going on, because I think a lot of people not only do not understand the HBCU experience as faculty, just in general, but don't know the specifics of a Howard University that in pop culture is prominent, but again, not necessarily understood in terms of the day to day. So please.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to sort of share what's going on. Unfortunately, the communications that the university has been sharing with students and other faculty have been wrong. I'll just say that. So it's a pretty short story. Howard University non-tenure track and adjunct, so all of those professors who aren't full-time tenured faculty, unionized a few years ago, SEIU Local 500. And when we did that, we started a contract negotiation with the university. That contract has been in negotiations for 4 years. Because simply the university has essentially refused to meet, which is why there are injunctions that we are currently filing with the Federal Labor Board, because they are bargaining in what's called bad faith, and you're not allowed to do that by law. So we need two things in general, so two categories. We need fair pay. Howard non-tenure track faculty and adjuncts are the lowest paid around, certainly in this area. And it's just disgraceful. The students at Howard pay the same price, no matter who teaches them. The same cost. They don't get a discount if they get an adjunct or a lecturer, a non-tenure track lecturer. They pay the same price, and we are held to the same standards. You are expected to leave my course as knowledgeable as if you had a course with the most prominent tenured professor in the university. So to me, if you're getting the same amount of credits and you're paying the same cost and have the same expectations, why am I not paid a fair wage? I don't think this is a hard concept to understand. And the university really plays on, and among the many things I find distasteful about this situation, they play on the fact that the majority of us come to Howard, it's more of a vocation than it is a job. I was a student of Howard. I remember my whole life, I went to predominantly white institutions. When I came to Howard, it was the first time I was in a classroom full of brown arms, just like mine, reaching up. I can still remember the first day I was in a classroom at Howard. My pull to be faculty at Howard has nothing to do about the money. It has everything to do about, I know how integral that experience was to my Blackness, to understanding a part of myself that I was disconnected from. And it literally changed my life, and the relationships I've built with the professors and other folks who were classmates and now colleagues, integral to my professional development, my personal development. We come to Howard because we feel the need to give back to the students to make sure they have the same quality of education we provided, to be a part of this storied institution. And they play on our desire because they know that we aren't looking necessarily, that's not maybe our number one issue, looking at the salary. We feel a connection to the school and want to be part of it. And they know that they can work us for cheap pay, so they do. The second issue is really about job security. Right now, if you're non-tenure track or an adjunct, you have to reapply for your job every single year. Which, if you've never worked at a job where you have to see if you're good enough every year, it's nerve-wracking, right? Can I count on this money? I have to pay my mortgage. I don't know, my kid needs braces. I have to get new glasses. Can I count on this money to be in my bank account? And so what we're asking is that after, certainly we understand the first year, maybe you don't know, you want to make sure a teacher is going to work, that we are allowed to have 2-year appointments. So we can begin to address the issue of job stability. They are not big asks, at least from our perspective. They would help to make our lives more stable. Some professors are working, and I think you even mentioned this in your show the other day. Some professors are working at multiple universities, trying to pull together a full course load or more, right? Trying to get 6-8 classes, maybe even working some other kind of part-time gig. It's not to mention, in addition to the teaching, the grading, all of the tasks that surround being a professor, we are also resources for our students, writing letters of recommendations, office hours / counseling hours, helping them to think about their future, right? Just because we are not tenure track doesn't mean we don't also have all of those other responsibilities, which we are happy with. We want to teach, we want that interaction, but we should be paid fairly, and we shouldn't have to be terrified that maybe there are about 400 of us in this collective bargaining unit. Not all of us teach every semester because their contracts don't get renewed every semester. That's what we're asking for. That is what we're asking for, in short.
So I just made I had made a note earlier when you were drawing on the I think rightly so, the differences between or the similarities that is the sameness that is expected of anyone regardless of their rank in terms of what they produce educationally and in the classroom. But obviously the main reason why there's a preference to have adjuncts and lecturers doing that work with the same expectations is because of the pay and the benefits. And I think, somewhat related, and I don't know exactly how the relationship would play out, but I'm sure it seems pretty clear to me that there is a relationship between not only expecting the same results regardless of rank and pay, a desire to limit the amount of benefit packages paid, that is, whether it's tenure or just healthcare or whatever, and the fact that even when we do make the highest rank, as I see some in the chat talking about a full professor at HBCUs, we're still teaching 4 4s.
That's right.
Because again, the goal is it seems that the goal in these institutions is to prevent at almost all cost. My bias is, of course, with the liberal arts, is to prevent faculty to have room through course reductions and adequate pay to produce intellectually, to engage intellectually, both the campus and the broader society community. By making sure that even when you again hit a certain rank, the 4 4 remains, which is just taxing on every level. So,
absolutely.
In the chat, I understand. Well, I understand to a certain extent, at least. Well, I appreciate the position that you're in, both as an adjunct but part of a union, which is part of this. I can't understand and appreciate, since we're not allowed to do that in Maryland.
Right.
But shout out to you all for doing that, and congratulations on the unionization. But when I see in the chat, and I know that this is something that has come up with other issues, particularly with Howard University and the level of celebrity that it has and the level of celebrity that it attains, the broader support among the celebrity status faculty for this effort is there anything that you all have noticed or would care to, is there anything that you all have, is there any response publicly that you all have to that? Or is it an issue that, again, is not understood by those of us not in the immediate moment? If that makes sense.
I mean, listen, I'm only going to speak from my perspective. This isn't an issue that we've necessarily talked about in the union and have some particular stance. So I will only speak from my own perspective, and that is, I understand, Howard is a real sort of tricky place, right? Like you said, it has a celebrity status and celebrities both. It has for many students been a place of just an incredible experience, right? A place where you can feel seen and trust and believe. I want that. I want every Black and brown person on the planet to have space where they feel seen, heard, loved, accepted, right? We need that so desperately. And all I want to do is to ensure that we have that space. At the same time, I don't know that I really care. Like the celebrities,
okay,
if they bring people to the table, if they bring money, because yes, Howard has a lot. Do we have the same sort of endowment as, say, a Harvard? No, we do not. Right? I mean, there are real life differences at the top tiers of these educational institutions. So if a famous person brings us to the table, happy for it, but that doesn't mean that the administration needs to act like they're acting and disrespecting us. They call us temporary faculty. I mean, it's insulting even after being asked to stop doing that. I have been teaching as an adjunct in the School of Social Work since 2014. How is that temporary?
Right. And the other part of it is that, I mean, wow, that's really is insulting. I'm sorry to even hear that word. I mean, because the other part of it is, of course, many adjuncts and lecturers would happily take tenured and tenure track positions. Were there more of them being offered? I mean, that's
paid. If they paid a livable wage. I interviewed for tenure track because I thought about it, because I love Howard and I love teaching. But the reality is, in my full-time job, they could not even approach the pay. And I was like, so my mortgage still has to be paid. Like the bank wants their check every month. So I cannot take less money to do this work just because I love it.
Right. So listen, you and whoever else wants to come here is always welcome to update us at any point. Just quickly, just so at least I'm clear, you all have walked out and are stayed out, or what is the exact status of the faculty?
Sure. So after Friday, we had a negotiation. We asked them to come back to the table. We said we're available Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning. Like we'll give it all of the time. They initially told us they could not come back to the table until Friday. And then over the weekend, we got a call. They set up about 12 to 15 hours of negotiations with us Monday and Tuesday with an open slot. The Tuesday night slot is set up from 4 until. So we are cautiously optimistic that they understand that we are 100% serious. If we do not have a tentative agreement that's been signed, only awaiting ratification of both parties, that we will strike Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. So that's the plan. And I'm hopeful. I think they see that the community is with us. Other tenured faculty are with us. The students are with us. And I think that this media storm, so thank you to all of the media who have taken an interest in what's happening on Howard.
Well, certainly Black Power Media,
yes,
and our now 15,000 subscribers are all in solidarity, no question. And we greatly, and like I said, anytime we can help out, you're welcome back.
Well, maybe we can give you an update Tuesday or Wednesday and just let you know where we're at.
Absolutely. We'll work something out and have you come through the Remix Morning Show and do that. That'd be great.
Okay.
And certainly, more power to you and best of luck going forward. I certainly really appreciate what you all are doing. So thank you all very much. And thank you, Dr. Kozad, for coming through, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Take care.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break and come right back with our guests to talk a little bit about Ruchell Magee and political imprisonment. So again, big shout out to the Howard University faculty, students, staff, and admin who may be in support as well. And, we wish them success in their endeavors, and we'll just take a quick break. And like I said, be right back here with more I Mix What I Like.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
All right, everybody. Again, welcome back to I Mix What I Like here, Black Power Media. Jared Ball, I'm very happy to be hosting once again for a conversation that we're going to have with a couple folks doing work in a variety of ways, all in service of our political prisoners, most specifically Ruchell Magee and Jalil Muntaquin, who we just saw participating in an incredible webinar, which is going to premiere right here on Black Power Media in its re-airing at 10 a.m. When we finish here. So please definitely stick around and check out all of that. But I want to bring now up onto the screen, want to get Imani Lawrence, who and Cameron Hurt. Good morning and greetings to the both of you. Imani Lawrence is, among many other things, she is a campus organizer at Brockport. So this is upstate New York. She is a member of Black Alliance for Peace, New York chapter. She is working with SUNY Brockport in New York and is working with the group bringing Jalil Muntaquin there to speak, but of course has run into what are unfortunately predictable issues with that. So welcome to you, Imani. Thanks for joining us. And Cameron is, of course, returning as a member of the Coalition to Free Ruchell Magee, and who just led and convened and co-hosted this incredible webinar. So good morning to you, Cameron. Thanks for joining us over here at I Mix What I Like. So Imani, why don't we start with you, if that's cool? Jalil mentioned it. Actually, I can't remember now so maybe we'll watch the clip, but during his statement at the webinar to free Ruchell Magee this weekend, he mentioned, I actually can't remember if it was in the discussion just before or during his presentation or both, but he mentioned that he had run into a little bit of trouble here, and that this was that there was a response to his coming to visit that was not a welcomed one, but that he wanted to make this make as much noise around this as possible, as he is intending to be up there, and I believe next month. So as I pull up the story that you shared, why don't you, tell us a little bit about what's going on and what we need to know.
Okay, so just as a correction, I actually am not a student at Brockport anymore. And I was not part of the committee to bring him. That was actually started by a faculty member there. But the campus is not particularly active. Oh, that's something old. That's some of the work that
Oh,
I did years ago on campus. Yeah.
oh, okay. Sorry about
Um,
that. Okay, I'll
no
find the other
problem.
one then,
What I
because
sent
I
you this
thought
morning is
okay.
some tweets from people that were talking about the lecture itself.
Yeah, no, I thought that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, I thought this was the story about what's going on there. This is.
No, that
Um.
is just you when you ask for my
Oh, you're
background
right. That is
information.
right. That's right.
Hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, all right.
No, no
So,
problem.
well, anyway, because I had seen the story where I thought that was the one, but apparently not. But I had seen the story where they talked about, the money that was going to be paid to Jaleel as an
Yes.
honorarium was taken away because of uh if it's coming from the government, then if there's this response, they don't want to be, what
Yep.
was it, they don't want to be having government, state funding of cop killer visits to anyway, please go ahead and tell us what's going on here.
No problem. Let me back up and set the scene a little bit. So I graduated in 2010. I mean 2015. So I started in 2010. And the campus is not politically active. It wasn't really active when I was on campus. We started a little bit of something and then it kind of died out a few years after I left. So that's why there aren't really any current students to speak to it because they don't know what's
Mm,
going on. They're on spring break and they're about to come back to campus today to a surprise basically because they have no idea what's happening. Um, Basically, a faculty member decided to bring Jaleel on as a lecturer, and Brockport has something I believe is called the Promoting Diversity Grant. I don't remember the exact name, but it's been around for a while. And the school decided to fund the lecture using the diversity grant. And once the general public caught wind of it, to my knowledge, it was because of a radio personality named his last name is Lonsberry. I don't remember his first name right now. I think it's Bob Lonsberry. Once that happened, everyone kind of like flew into a tizzy. The Monroe County Sheriff released a statement, and in like stoking up the fear and the fright and the anger. A bunch of politicians swooped in. This one, Rep. Chris Jacobs, he is a New York representative. We have a New York senator that's raising concerns. We have county executives raising concerns. There are all kinds of people, all kinds of politicians raising concerns and pressuring the school because it's a SUNY school, so it's public state funds, and so now they put pressured the school into rescinding the funding for it. And now some of the faculty members and staff on campus are trying to raise money to still pay Jaleel so that because he's still coming, right? And so they want to make sure that he's still getting paid. So now they're going to try and raise money for him that way. But that's what politicians are trying to do now. They're trying to sneak in the money route and try to get the school to cancel the lecture that way. And because that didn't work, now they're just throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks. So they're going to the media, they're going to, Governor Hochul now. They're trying to, have her step in. They're trying to do everything to get this canceled. Whereas had they not said anything, there probably would have been like 10 students there, all trying to get extra credit for their classes. There would have been nobody there. But now they have a big, huge situation on their hands because they decided they wanted to be racist.
mm. Well, I mean, I think this particular letter here is funny because in addition to the standard, that is Jaleel ambushed police and is convicted of murdering 2 law enforcement officers. But that they go back to the whole thing of this time. This was an interesting twist that I have not particularly seen this in this way before, where it says we don't like to be calling we don't like him being called a political prisoner. Not because, as usually is the case, they say that those don't exist in the United States, but he says here because that's an insult to the thousands of actual political prisoners throughout our world who are being unjustly persecuted in their legitimate beliefs. I mean, I was like, wow, I wasn't aware that there was so much concern in Congress for
All of a sudden.
all these other political prisoners. I thought that's a new one on that, anyway, and then you also shared this other tweet is there more to set up with this one also, or is this just more of the
So
same?
that's the Monroe County Sheriff. So that was one of the
Okay,
original
right.
like statements that
Got
I
you.
originally sent you. And so just to set the scene, upstate New York has it's well known as being quote unquote the Mississippi of the North.
Mm,
People fly Confederate flags up there and Trump flags there everywhere. And like just so you guys understand that the Monroe County Sheriff is like, I know police in general are racist, but this man is right. Like we're talking about like, you know, it's bad up there. And so the county sheriff sent this statement out basically just saying he's a cop killer, and as the sheriff I'm disgusted and you know blah blah blah. But it worked up the community, so not just the Brockport community but also the Rochester community, because both of those cities are in Monroe County. And so the only reason why I even got brought into it is because people reached out to me concerned about the students on campus,
mm.
because it's not the students that are raising concern, it's the surrounding community, right? And that creates a hostile and volatile community for the students who are in Brockport, specifically the Black students that are in Brockport.
So, as you said, the students up there are gonna be coming back from spring break right about now, and need to be aware that Jaleel is coming. And again, this is going to be on what day and time, and what is it that you would like for students and anyone else wanting to support this visit to do?
So it's going to be on April 6th. Now they might change it, right? But to my knowledge,
Mm,
most lectures and things on campus are open to the community. Uh, they might change that for this one, so we'll see. I haven't
mm.
heard anything. Like the last time I checked, it was still listed as a community event. Um, and so if you're in the area, I'm unfortunately am not, but I might still pull up anyway because I went to school up there for 5 years, so I know people. Um, and if you're there in the area, please show up. And if you do go, just keep especially if you're grown, please keep an eye out for the students. Please keep an eye out for, the environment and things like that. And just make your presence known, and just, if you need to take to social media or if you have to write some people just to show your support, so that, Brockport isn't fighting this battle alone. Because to be perfectly honest, the fact that Brockport isn't backing down from this is pretty impressive, because I used to go there, right? So I know how they normally get down. And so it's pretty impressive that they haven't even canceled the lecture, to be perfectly honest. So I want us to provide as much support as we can.
All right. Well, Imani, thank you very much for coming through this morning and updating us. I honestly don't remember what we planned. You're welcome to stick around. You're welcome also to come back anytime to update us on the event. And if anything changes, we would love to hear about it. And maybe we can
Absolutely.
even work something out where I don't even know. Anyway, we should talk about the event anyway.
We'll chat. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Cameron, and Imani, by the way, do you want to stick around? My bad. I wasn't even sure what was happening. I've lost track of what was going on.
We didn't have any plans. So if you want, I love to talk. So if you want to keep me
Cool.
around, I'll stay.
Hey, hang out. Let's like get comfortable. Get your
All right.
your coffee, tea, whatever was that. Cameron, welcome back again. I really appreciate you, and a big congratulations to the incredible webinar you pulled off this past weekend in support for Ruchell Magee. Why don't you just tell us what went on? Give us, looking back now, what the event was, and what folks will see if they haven't already when it goes live on our channel. And what's talk a little bit about it, if you would.
Right on. Yeah, good morning to both of y'all and all the viewers. Hello. I'm a big fan of the show. Yeah, glad to be on my second time, and nice to meet you too, Imani. I did want to connect to that story real quick, but first, I'm apologizing for the lack of lighting. There's no sun in Los Angeles yet, so dealing with the nighttime setup, but we're making it happen. And
Ooh, you up
No, we
early.
appreciate it. I keep forgetting. Yeah, I keep forgetting about the
Zero
time zone thing. Yeah, appreciate
Oh,
you.
no worries, no worries. We're happy to be here. It was definitely a team effort that helped make that all come through. Definitely want to give a major shout out to, in fact, some of the people that were on the show last time as a group. I definitely want to shout out Harold Welton, who was one of the speakers, and also a really important organizer in this coalition to free Ruchell Magee, as well as, of course, Taya and Javier, who did amazing social media promotion work. My man Aldo, who helped kind of chop the video up and run the tech during the situation, and so many other people that I could name as well, who've just been doing tremendous work to get us the connections and the different speakers. So basically, Ruchell Magee, I mean, a lot of your viewers have probably seen and heard the stories. And in fact, the best way to learn about it is definitely to watch the premiere of the webinar that Jared mentioned earlier. It's going to be a really, really monumental thing. Everything that I've heard so far is that it was a historic bringing together of so many important figures that are calling for justice across the country. Webinar format, I know we're like years into this pandemic now, and everybody was saying, I'm tired of Zoom, I don't like doing these Zoom webinars. But we really felt like it was necessary for this because we had these supporters who are based all the way New York, DC, Los Angeles, the Bay. We were like, how do we bring people together without the expensive plane tickets and all the risks and all the, how much it takes to bring together an event like that. So we feel like it was a perfect use of the webinar format, just to bring people together, talk about Ruchell. Of course, some of the speakers included, our own Dr. Jared Ball right here. There was also, of course, Angela Davis, Jonathan Jackson Jr., Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., Jalil Muntakim, Eugene Purrier, Dr. Robin D.G. Kelly. Now I'm going to list everybody. Don't worry. Yasmin Majid, Empress Chi, Dr. Diane Fujino, Melina Abdullah, Martha Sheke was a performer. I'm going to forget somebody, Doctor. So, feel free to add in, but it was a beautiful thing.
No, yeah, it was great. And to your point, not many people would have had the budget to bring all of those people to one place. As much as it would have been great to see everybody live and in person.
Oh yeah.
Well, I thought if it's cool with you, we could share a little bit of what folks will be able to see in full. I've prepared. I just was going in order and pulled up Jalil. So since we were just talking about him with Amani, and I thought we could play a little bit or his presentation, and then we can come on back and talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, just briefly, one little thing.
Sure.
I actually wanted to connect to what Imani was saying. It's really amazing to hear all the work that's going on. It reminds me definitely when I was in undergrad. I went to University of Southern California, where I definitely saw the West Coast version of, racism. How everything continued. I'm from Virginia originally, so coming all the way over here.
Wait, where in Virginia?
I was based out of Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Born in Norfolk, raised in Virginia Beach, and yeah. So we rep Pharrell,
wow.
Missy. What's up? If y'all see this.
No, I just that's just where I served what I call my Navy sentence. That's where I was for 4 years. In Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So Navy that's how I experienced that region. Yeah.
That's right.
Shout out to that whole Southern Virginia.
Yeah. So I did a little college at University of Alabama. That wasn't for me.
Wow.
So I came to USC. And then I wanted to connect it because I just remember there was a massive protest against Ben Shapiro coming to speak, which was something that I was doing on campus. And it was like, it was so bad. We had the vice president wrote like an op-ed why Ben Shapiro should be allowed to speak. A black vice president of the school. They were really trying to slam with the ideology. But then when it's Jalil Muntakim, they're the protesters all of a sudden. ridiculous, you know.
We've had some questionable people come to Brockport. Like, no one as bad as Ben Shapiro, or at least to my knowledge, right? But but we've had some questionable people, and no one's really made a big deal out of it. And even now, no one made a big deal out of it. It literally was a community thing. The students do not care. My campus is not that active. They don't care. So
well, I mean, but like I mean, I was just trying to think of, like, you know, because I don't know how much lately, but people like Henry Kissinger have been getting invited to universities for a long time.
Yes.
I mean, how much blood does he have on his hands? I mean, you know, you can talk about if Jaleel is to be, you know, considered guilty of what he's accused of.
Rahm
That doesn't.
Emanuel come speak.
How about that?
Are you kidding me?
Obama, Bush, Clinton,
General Petraeus is a guest lecturer at USC. Yeah,
that's right. They all get invitations to these joints. Ben Shapiro, shout out to R.M. Brown. Yeah, I know. That's what that's actually, that's funny. Yeah, R.M. Brown is hilarious. He goes hard on Ben Shapiro, and that joint is hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, of course. I mean, people with real body counts are welcome to these spaces on a regular basis. And but that would be the point. I mean, obviously, if you stand in solidarity with the people whose counts are in those bodies, then you're not going to be, you know, as welcome. So anyway, let me see if we can pull this up here. I think oh, I see how it's doing it. It's not, okay, I see it's not letting me. So we're about to get, oh, it's not letting me use the file I had opened. I see. Okay, so I got to share this one. So we just got whoever owns Nina's music is gonna beat us down.
Another quick shout out. Virginia Harris, right up there.
I was just going to ask you to. Yep.
Yes, my co-host.
Anyway, so let's just check out Jaleel Mutakeen and the statement he made to the webinar, and
As a result of that, and had been arrested originally in San Francisco on August 28, 1971, I was returned back to San Quentin. And when I was returned back to San Quentin after the New York conviction, I was housed in the Adjustment Center. As many of you know, Ruchell spent many years in the Adjustment Center, along with San Quentin 6 and many of our other comrades, even Geronimo Jijaja. And so while I was sent there, I was placed in a cell between Ruchell Magee and Charlie Manson, right, with San Quentin 6 on the same tier. It was on the first floor of the Adjustment Center. During the time of getting to learn and know each other, I found Ruchell to be very humorous. Right, he's a joker in his own in his relaxed state of and he always reflects on his history, on his growing up in Louisiana, and what all that meant to him. But at any rate, at one day during mail call, I received a letter from a beloved ancestor sister named Yuri Kochiyama. At the time, Yuri was a member, organizer of the National Committee in Defense of Political Prisoners, which was an organization that was put together in support of the Panther 21 case. And when she did, she had a newsletter. So she sent me a copy of the newsletter. And in that newsletter, they talked about the need for us to take our struggle to the United Nations, something that El-Haj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, often spoke about. Right? And so when I read this, I said, wow, this is a good idea. Maybe we should think about how we can put this thing together. And so what I did, I wrote back to Yuri and asked her to say, well, how are we going to move forward? And I never got a response back. Now, that does not mean that she may not have responded or that my letter did not get out. Because during that period of time, particularly in San Quentin, often our letters did not get out of the prison, out of the facility, or we did not receive letters. And so what I did, I drafted an outline for the possibility of petitioning for the United Nations on the existence of political prisoners and the conditions of prisons. And so when I drafted that outline together, drafted an outline, I passed it to Ruchell. I said, hey, Ru, what do you think about this, man? What do you think? Do you think this is something that's plausible? Do you think it's something that we can really work on? And he looked at it and he studied it and He held on to it for about a day. Didn't say anything. Then I said, Ru, knocked on the wall next to him. I said, hey, Ru, what's that, man? You checked out what I wrote? He said, yo, bro. He said, this is powerful. This is good. But I did some tweaking on it. As some of you know, Ruchell is very involved with the law. And unknown to me, because I didn't know too much about the law, he added some legal quotes, some legal issues on it, and really perfected it. And then he told me, he said, listen, send it upstairs to Geronimo and the brothers upstairs. We also had Russell Little was up there, and a couple other people from the SLA was up there. And so I said, okay, cool. So I did that. And I sent it up there, and they checked it, reviewed it, and sent it back to me. And then what I did, then sent it out to the streets. And that was the beginning of the first U.S. prison petition campaign to the United Nations. The only petition campaign that was sponsored by prisoners and actually was heard and recorded at the United Nations, the very first. That was it took me 2 years from 1975 to 1977 to make that happen. And it was a good job. And it was a good job because Ruchell put his stank to it, right? He put his influence on it and made it even much more consistent to what we were trying to achieve, right? By adding the little bit of law that I didn't know that he knew extensively. And that's what Ruchell is. Ruchell is scientist, right? He tries to look at things in in this minutia, in its very smallest points, right? And get something draw something out of it that will benefit himself and benefit others. Ruchell has been known in the prison system, particularly in California, as being a legal scholar, right? Some will dispute that idea or what it means by being a legal scholar, but in either case, he has helped many people in regards to the law, the issues of the law, and fighting to be released from prison. And that's one thing we should always recognize of Ruchell, his giving and his capacity to study. Now, another thing that's important for us to understand about Ruchell is this here. He should not be in prison, right? There are documents that indicate very specifically that he was not found guilty of the charges when he was charged for the incident that happened in Marin County. Right there, I've received, matter of fact, I have some documents here that were sent to me that indicate that there are jurors on his case that had asked the judge how come they didn't recognize the verdict of the jury. And so that is something that Ruchell has been arguing about continuously, right? And this is the reason why he has not been adamant about his innocence, even when he goes to the parole board. So that what makes our fight even much harder, knowing that he should not be in prison today. Okay, so I just wanted to share those few points, some ideas, my thinking based upon my experience with Ruchell. I think Ruchell is at the age that he is right now, as many of our own comrades, many of our political prisoners, like Sundiata Kohli, like Imam Jamil Alameen, we should be fighting diligently, right, without taking a breath, right, if necessary, and to fight to get them released from prison. With that said, I'd like to thank Cameron and the coalition for inviting me here to just give this little bit of information that I have, personal information that I hold close to my heart in regards to Ruchell Magee, Zenke Magee. Thank you.
Right on, right on. Again, big shout out to you, Cameron, and that whole coalition pulling this whole thing together. And of course, it was great to hear Jaleel. And it is funny, to think of him in his cell between Magee and Charles Manson. I mean, that must have been bananas. And then the other point that he makes just very plainly, like, he shouldn't be in jail. I mean, he just shouldn't be in prison. And I'm not gonna play my portion today, but the one thing that I thought of just as I was listening to everybody before I spoke on Saturday is just to think of what kind of person Magee must be to be sitting in a courtroom. Obviously, everybody wants to be free, but to be sitting in a courtroom and without any forewarning, here comes Jonathan Jackson busted up in there Talk about here's guns, let's go. I mean, so I'm just like, because you can think like it's conceivable that people sitting there would be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't want any parts of this. I don't know you. But the thing, like, no, I'm ready to go immediately. Any opportunity to get free, let's go. Bam, gun. I'm in court. Let's get out. I mean, you know. So anyway, I thought that anyway. Any of you, any thoughts in response to seeing that Jaleel speak again?
Honestly, personally, I just love the way he speaks. I'm sorry, just real quick. I love hearing him speak. I'm relatively new to learning about him. Actually, I learned about him from following your channel. Like I've been a subscriber for like a year now, almost since y'all started. And
yeah, I forgot that you were actual remixer. I keep forgetting like all the different things that are happening.
For me right now.
Great. So appreciate you and welcome. This is great.
But I just love hearing him speak, and I love learning about the interactions he's had with young organizers and activists. Like that's something that's really important to me because I feel like there's kind of a generational divide, and he's one of the ones that steps into that divide. And then with respect to Ruchell Magee, he's another person that I learned about through your show. And well, I heard the name before, but I didn't know anything about him. And the same thing, it's amazing how much my mind has opened up to the struggles, the real deal struggles of political prisoners, because I always knew that they existed, right? But I had no idea who they were, didn't know what they were about. And in this year, I got a crash course, and I'm like, nah, we got to get them all up out of there.
That's good. I appreciate that. And Cameron, I don't even know and this is my fault, but I'm not sure. Now I was even just sitting there. I can't even remember who said what and when, or if Jaleel even just talked much about it. But in just sort of laying out who Ruchell is, I don't know. We should, you know, if you want to, as you think about whatever you would want to say or planning to say just now, just add a little bit about who Ruchell is and how he got there, because that story is another ridiculous one. But anyway, if you just a quick recap, if you can, please.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's a long story, but definitely one that we've been practicing, you know, how to condense it and how to tell it shortly, just because it covers, you know, 60 plus years, really 83 years, going all the way back to him being born also in the South, March 17th, 1939 in Franklinton, Louisiana. You know, the time of the deep Jim Crow, segregation, lynchings, KKK terror, and of course that legal bias that has never gone away, that very sticky legal bias, you know. So this is a person who is first arrested at 16, sent to Angola State Prison, was called a former plantation, but you know, it's interesting. Actually, my mom got me to watch the movie Life recently. So have you all seen the movie, of course? Right.
Yes.
Which movie?
Life with I know. Eddie Murphy.
Hold up.
Martin Lawrence.
See, this is where
I'm the baby in the room. I was late to this. I know.
Let me do my old man thing here for a quick second.
Yes.
Life is, I think it's my favorite Eddie Murphy film of all time. Harlem Nights, and Distinguished Gentleman, which is an underrated film, are my favorite Eddie Murphy films. When I used to do radio, I had numerous drops from the film Life. That's how much I love the film. Like I created drops, numerous.
Ooh.
You don't want to give me that gun, boss. I might shoot you with it. Was my a number one go-to boop drop, like, because it's my favorite. Anyway, so do I know Life? I know Life. I love Life. I'll sit here and recite the whole movie to you. So anyway, but please go ahead. I didn't mean to
I didn't mean to laugh at you, Cameron.
No.
Hey, look, I've gotten it already. You know, this is one of those.
Like, brought the chat to the screen. Watch out now.
Oh, here we go.
To the screen. Anyway,
no, I bring it up because, you know, basically, shout out to my mother who's also watching on the program. So that was appreciated. So she has shown this to me. Yeah. She had shown it to me over, you know, winter break, that kind of time. So I think that really put it into perspective and into visual for me, what a 1955 prison might have looked like in the South. I mean, it looks like a plantation.
It was earlier than that, wasn't it? I mean, it started earlier than that,
Yeah.
didn't they? But anyway,
They
sorry,
would
go
have been
ahead.
starting the movie when Ruchell was born, I think. Like they were arrested in the 30s or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
it was just like almost a visualization, since I can't see what Angola would have been like back then. And it was like, wow, there's so many parallels. I mean, we can totally go into that. Oh, Jangalang. Yeah.
You going
I'm gonna let you tell that one. I'm gonna let y'all tell that one. So yeah. You know,
I'm the pappy.
yeah.
Coming to America, nah, it's not better than. I don't think it's better than Life.
Not better than Life. And I love Coming to
great.
America. It's not better.
Yeah, I love it too. No question.
The Life comedy
anyway.
was a little more sophisticated, I think.
Life
Yeah,
was,
that's
man.
right.
Life is, yeah, that's my joint. But Eddie, just quick shout out to Eddie and all that. Like, for all he has maybe done wrong in the world, which I'm sure he has done more than I'm aware of. The fact that he has done these movies where he's brought all of these collections together, like, I mean, he's good for that. With Harlem Nights, with Life, you know, he bring even Distinguished Gentlemen. He brings crews of comedians together. That's impressive. So shout out to him for that.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but the Dolomite joint, I might have to go back and watch that again.
I heard it was good.
Anyway, it was all right. It was all right.
Good.
I might need to watch it again. It's not Life level, but it's not Life level.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Life
Cameron, I'm sorry, man. I know you were trying
Life level.
You're supposed to be the youngest on here. You trying to be the most sophisticated and elevated. Like you dragging us back down. So
it's all good. I tangented myself toward a movie. But I brought that up.
Let's blame him for this.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason I brought that up was, this man spends 1955 to roughly like 1962 inside, Angola State Prison, called a former plantation. But of course, it continues to serve that purpose, the exploitation, into when Ruchell is arrested. So he's arrested for, a situation involving a white woman who is 7 or 8 years older than him and married as well. Same year, Emmett Till was lynched, August 1955. And, the fact that he's given his first of many bogus trials with an all-white jury, sentenced to 8 hard years in Angola. Basically, he has nothing when he leaves this prison. He actually packs up from Louisiana and comes all the way to Los Angeles, which again connects Los Angeles to the story. So 1963, here he is in LA. And within 6 months, he's arrested in what's called a kidnapping case over a $10 bag of weed. He's said to have kidnapped the dealer, basically. Very interesting, strange story, because apparently the car didn't even move. But anyway, he ends up beaten up by the LAPD. It could be the sheriffs. I don't want to say which one, but he's beaten up by police within the LA area so badly he's hospitalized for 3 days, railroaded in court, given 7 years to life. I mean, already that parallel with the Jackson family, So I can just pause there because
the kidnapping thing is hilarious. I mean, it's brutal, and I don't remember the details, but kidnapping can be, they even got, that was in part with how they got OJ the second time around, was the minute you tell somebody, like if you're in a car, if you say you can't get out of the car, they can claim that's kidnapping. If you say that's it could be something as silly as that. Like somebody tries to rip you off in a $10 weed deal, and you're like, nah, you can't leave. And they're like, oh, he's kidnapping me. Anyway, it could be just something as silly as that. And I think as Eugene pointed out in his comments on Saturday, weed is now a multi-billion-dollar legal business. So to think that Magee's incarceration started and exists to this day based on that ridiculous beginning, at least, because I know that they've tried to or rationalize why he's still there now, and has more to do with politics. But it's I mean, it's just it's not crazy. It's logical to what is being done in this society, but it's just ridiculous that it's going on. So
Can I add something there?
sure,
Because I
sure.
actually do some work in cannabis. I do public relations, but I work in like the cannabis industry, and that's one of the main things that we are fighting against right now with respect to like trying to get legalization rolling like federally is the opposite, and also statewide is the opposition strictly because they want to be able to arrest people for some shit, right? Like they wouldn't be able to, like, you can't really do it as much with alcohol anymore. Like you can't just be like, oh, I smell alcohol. Like some they still try it, but it's not as. So the thing is, oh, I smelled marijuana, and that just is the trust that they get as police officers and law enforcement in general, and so that's never questioned. And so with it becoming legal, they're gonna, with the push for equity and legalization, all these states are now having to go back and like let people out of jail who were arrested on nonviolent cannabis offenses, and law enforcement they don't like that, so they're fighting everyone along the way for stuff like this, because think of how many people have been in jail for decades at sometimes because initially just because they had a dime bag or something on them, but it just keeps adding up and adding up. You know what I'm saying? They have to go back and reevaluate all of that.
Somebody asked in the chat if mine or other comments will be heard on the whole webinar, if not played this morning. And yeah, the whole thing will be there, and it's all time stamped, so you can skip around if you want. But to that point, there is one clip that I did want to play, because I had honestly only seen her name in passing over the years, but I've not ever read her work. And thought that her presentation added some good substance to the conversation, and that is Professor Diane Fugino, Cameron, who you had. I have her queued up without any of her introduction. Is there anything you would want to say real quick about who she is? I know she's done work on Yuri Kochiyama, but I was really glad that she was there and appreciated what she had to say.
Yeah, that's a great question. She's definitely someone that I did thank, for continuing to like preserve so much important history, including the life of Yuri Kochiyama, and even some study into the history of the Black Power movement, to say the least. I mean, there's so much more that could be said, but I'll just take a little bit from the introduction that we used. Yeah. So
no, go ahead.
Diane, longtime activist who's been organizing for political prisoners, ethnic studies, democratic education. She's a professor of Asian American Studies at UC Santa Barbara, and wrote multiple books, including Heartbeat of Struggle, The Revolutionary Life of Yuri Kochiyama, as well as Contemporary Asian American Activism, Building Movements for Liberation. I will say Brother Hank Jones of the San Francisco 8 was actually the person who put me on and helped connect us. So that's all I got to say.
Right on. And shout out to him too. All right. So let's check out what she had to say and be right back.
In the violation of the strong taboo against interracial intimacies in the South. And so his charge was really not the legal issue. It was a violation of the social order. And that violation of the social order continued to follow him. So in 1966, after 8 years in Angola prison in Louisiana, he's in Los Angeles, and he and his cousin are then accused of kidnapping a man as they sit in that man's car. And the real dispute was about a $10 bag of weed, right? And as people are saying, he wouldn't even be incarcerated for having marijuana possession today. And when the police came in 1966, they beat Ruchell so badly that he ended up in the hospital for 3 days. He was given 7 years to life, and 59 years later, he remains in prison. This case, of course, echoes that of George Jackson, right? The famed Black Panther leader of the prison liberation movement, who also went in on a small charge, $70, and was given an indeterminate sentence of 1 year to life. There are changes that we can make today so that we see, right, the options that we have of people dying in prison, of people being killed, or of freedom. And that is something that we can all commit ourselves to today. So, and I want to say that had Ruchell Magee was not convicted of murder, but had he been, he would have been out a long time ago. The US Department of Justice report in 2016 noted that the average time served for a murder conviction in state prison is 15 years. So why has Ruchell Magee been in prison for almost 60 years? And I want to say again, this is not a case about the legal charges. This is about a Black man who dared to fight for his own liberation and the liberation of other prisoners. And so I say to those who are fighting and care about Black liberation, who are inspired by the Black Power movement, and who say they oppose anti-Blackness, that in the spirit of Bandung and as a person of solidarity, it's time to commit ourselves to action, to stand with the campaign calling for the release of our aging political prisoners, to stand with the campaigns to release all aging prisoners, to stand with the campaigns to free Black freedom fighters and all political prisoners, and to call for the abolition of prisons and policings as institutions of harm. And so I recommit myself today with this rally and this program to stand in solidarity and work with the campaign to free Ruchell Magee and all political prisoners. Thank you.
All right, right on, right on. I think honestly, I think I was not able to start her segment from the very beginning, because this is a little bit more difficult than I thought, and we're not, and it doesn't allow me to play the one I had pulled anyway. So whatever. But anyway, the whole thing is going to go live at on our channel at 10 o'clock, and again, all the statements are there. Only minus a little bit of the incredible musical parts at either the beginning or the end. Anyway, is there anything else from her comments, or let me just ask you this, Cameron, and then I think we if you guys want to hang out, we're going to do a couple of other stories, and then we can get back into the chat as well. But going forward from Saturday and from the webinar, where are you seeing things happening or going next, and what would you like folks to do? We've of course already included in the show description the link to the free Ruchell Magee website. But yeah, going forward, what do you see is coming next?
That's of course, a wonderful question. And I just want to extend one more time, like, all the thanks to the co-hosts and to all the viewers, and even to all the speakers. I mean, it was an amazing program. I even saw that you knew a lot of the people who were up there. It was really good to watch the rapport. I wish we could have stuck around after and continued to chat. But I really want to actually reflect on a piece that she said about uplifting the social order, in a sense, disturbing the social order. And I think that's what we see both out of the 1955 case relating to a white woman, as well as 1970. It's clear that, when you talk about the type of person Ruchell is when it comes to taking that move for liberation, he was also taking it to get his story out there. And I mean, let's be honest, it is a part of the reason that we're talking about it today. I mean, the fact that he participated allowed it to survive generations. And I just want to give all the revolutionary solidarity that I can to brothers like Ruchell Magee, Sundiata Acoli, Mumia Abu-Jamal, Mutulu Shakur, Leonard Peltier, great people who will see their freedom if we continue to push this movement forward. And I want to say, as far as where we're going, last time we were on the show, we did not have a donation set up. We now have a donation page. So it's visible if you go to www.freeruchellmagee.org. not only donations, there's many ways to contribute. Thank you to those who said they signed a petition in the chat. I see that. Of course, it's not like we're huge fans of like asking certain people to release certain individuals who should have been released. That's not because we love that aspect of it or because, we're trying to appeal to certain people, but it's more like, you know what? We believe in this person being released, and there are people who actively have the power to release that person. So we're going to do everything we can publicly to get the word out. We have a petition as well as a digital letter writing campaign to the Newsom's office. It's Governor Newsom out in California.
And you made it incredibly easy, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if people follow the link tree links that you all provide, they can do a letter to the governor, and it even says in less than a minute, and it takes less than a minute.
That's right, less than a minute. It's kind of a pre-written template letter, which should make things easier. But folks are encouraged. On the website, we actually have the addresses, so you can go ahead and if you want to pen a letter, try to keep it to the theme of the conversation. Similar to what's written up there, but we have some helpful instructions. There's even ways to print out flyers if you want to do an outreach session. We link the flyer on the website. You can make like a half-cut sheet. And we encourage people to get creative too. Do phone banking sessions to Governor Newsom's office. That's one of the tasks that we have. We are looking forward to a bright, beautiful billboard that will be in Los Angeles. Actually around the Slauson and like Buckler area. And it will be encouraging people to check out the website and, free Ruchell Magee, going to basically telling people, call the governor, request that commutation. So those are some of the steps coming forward. And I think what we're really thinking about, and we'll continue to stay in contact, of course, with both of you, but how to creatively continue to get the word out, how to make Ruchell even more of a household name, and how to spread the word about this webinar as only a step forward, a historic step, but one step nonetheless.
Right on. All right. Well, definitely thank you very much again for putting that together. It was amazing, and folks will get to see that for themselves if they haven't already in just a little while. I do, if we can, we'll just take a quick little transition break, and then there are a couple other stories I'd love to have you all join me to talk about for a few minutes. So let's just do that quick break. Back here in a second.
I mix what I like.
All right. So first of all, again, a big shout out to everybody that helped us to get 15,000 subscribers on the channel. Big thanks, and a Cosby Kids salute to you. Appreciate that. Same thing, also big up to Sundays and the Ear Doctor. I didn't get to see it live, but because it didn't get snatched, I did get to watch it after the fact, and it was dope. KRS-One is a beast, so folks should definitely tune in Sundays for Ear Doctor's special mixes. Again, I kept thinking though, for some reason, I in part because one of his tracks came up on the ride to school this morning. But Busta Rhymes is I think unbeatable. He would be unbeatable in a verses. It's just his catalog is too deep. And as what's my man's name? As Rampage, his cousin Rampage said, his features alone could win a versus battle. So anyway,
I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't even considered it, but I think I agree. I can't think of anyone. Not saying that there's not other talented people. I just can't think of anyone who in direct competition with him.
I mean, and it's going back, again, we're going back to the 80s with him,
Yeah.
like it's
like peers. You have to go up against your peers, and I don't know if he has any.
I mean, because I'm talking about like the Janet Jackson track he did came up, and I was like, I forgot even about that.
I love that song.
Hold
Would you
up,
put
now,
Method Man in the ring?
hold up, Cameron. Would you put in the chat there? Be self-promotional.
Nah.
You
No,
rap
I'm just
and
putting out a
produce?
call. Yeah, I'm just putting out a call. Ear doctor, what's up? You know, see me soon. You know, we'll get
going
you.
to hear some, you got
Cameron's
you.
Like, holla at me.
Do I need to start beatboxing? We can get something going right now.
You know, I've learned to only do live performances, you know, because I've messed up these video things before, you know, the timing was off, you know, and it looks like I don't got rhythm. I care about my rhythm, you know, so, you know.
I hear that.
Of course.
Like, I care about my brand.
Yeah. What about Method Man against Busta? I don't know. That could be controversial opinion, but, you know, not as, what do you think?
I love Method.
Man.
He's dope,
no.
but.
I was thinking about
length of time
is similar, you know, but
it would be a good one. I'd love to watch it, but I mean, I just don't see anybody. It's just so many. He's got so many and monster hits. He's got stadium rockers. He's got a stage performance. Method is dope on stage, but Busta. I saw Busta for the first time. He was already in his late 40s. I'd never seen him live, and he was still. I mean, it was crazy to see his stage performance. But anyway, so
and across like if you just like across different like subgenres of hip hop too. Like he's made music in a lot of different types of hip hop. Like, and there's not many rappers that have done that successfully, right? Like everybody who likes hip hop at all has Busta Rhymes songs that they go up for. Everybody, right? Like at least one or two, you know.
So I don't know, but I would like. That's a good one though. Yeah, I mean, got you all in check. All right. Speaking of comedy, I already put the link to this in the show description, but I do just want to play a quick a piece of this. A new video that I think is very well done on not just crypto and NFTs, but the entire Web3 concept. So folks don't know, you know, we were in Web 1 when the internet was introduced. We're in it, which is, you know, sort of post something online and you can read it. Then we're in Web 2 now, where you have this level of interactivity, social media, blah, blah, blah. And then Web 3 is this, you know, the new, more immersive metaverse stuff. The blockchain technology counts as part of that. All of that's in there. But I just want to play a little bit of this because you know, because it's just madness out here. So let me just start. Let's just check this out real quick.
The year is 2063. The global currency is Moose Coin. You're refused entry into the Metaverse's Lambo Club because your Twitter profile picture is not enclosed in an isosahedron. In a desperate bid to hold onto a square of pixels or land you bought in Elontopia, you must pay rent to Paris Hilton, who bought $17 billion worth of real estate with a picture of a monkey in 2033, and in a bid to become immortal has since replaced all of her organs with bionic hardware, each limb operated by its own smart contract. Citizens who own sliving tokens now have voting rights on her every move, from cooking mediocre lasagnas to overthrowing what is left of democracy. Jobs are obsolete, and by the time you get to the Meta Walmart, Moose Coin has crashed.
Hey, excuse me, guys. Take my book. Never take the bogus off.
But it's okay, because you're in control of who has your data now, and your dirty fiat currency didn't devalue by 2% over the entire year. That might be what happens if Web3 actually takes off, but it seems that for some reason people actually want to stop this from happening. Welcome back to the Mooncat channel. Are you ready for another rabbit hole that would confuse the shit out of a small Victorian child? Oh, and if you're a crypto bro watching this video, yes, I'm about to FUD. I am gonna thud so hard.
All right. Anyway, so definitely, so it. Look, she puts a lot of effort into the production of her video, and it's quite long, but very well done and very informative. So it's good, particularly if you don't know much about it, or if you're using it maybe in a classroom. It's very good to catch people up on what's going on. But one of the things that she touches on in that video that I would like to follow up on very briefly is what she showed there about the celebrity promotion of these worlds, and in this case NFTs, etc. Long story short, there is this incestuous relationship between major celebrities like Paris Hilton, Reese Witherspoon is listed here. I don't know who Jim Toth is, Ashton Kutcher, and PR firms and the platforms through which all of this is delivered and owned. So when, for instance, as she talks about when Paris Hilton went on Jimmy Fallon to promote her NFT, her Bored Ape NFT, it was something that is both of them, I believe, and the video goes into the detail. I can't remember at this point all the details, but the point is that the ownership of those, they were basically promoting their own owned products and the OpenSea platform on which all of this is being traded, into which their PR firms, the agencies to which both Paris and Jimmy Fallon are signed, which is CAA, I forgot the name of what it stands for, but is a major talent company that I first learned about years ago, because they're the ones that ended up signing David Letterman when he went into his big, evening time, nighttime TV beef wars, speaking of all the age differences and all that other stuff. But the point that I'm getting at is that agencies, PR firms, platforms through which this is being traded, the NFTs and the cryptocurrency that require new levels of investment to make their own value go up, because there is no value being created in any other way. It's just this crazy, anyway, just ridiculous sales world, promotional advertising environment that I think could lead to that kind of dystopian reality she was making fun of at the beginning of the video. So anyway, just that's it. It doesn't get any deeper than that from me today on that. That was it.
I will say I have a crazy like sci-fi love, like not crazy because I'm anyway, but I do like sci-fi and fantasy. So watching that little video kind of made my brain I started imagining a world where that actually happened, and I didn't like it. So thanks for that. I guess.
There it is. There it is.
Well, I mean, what they're doing.
Yeah, he's punking us again. I mean, that's the thing. Like that what people are seeing, much like, and I think it relates well to our discussions of propaganda and war itself, etc. What people are seeing as sort of the promoted discussion is itself being funded by the people who need the madness to be focused on while they benefit politically, economically, and otherwise. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's and then for people to then turn that into, as is often done or too often done in Black spaces, this is the radical solution to our problems, NFTs, crypto, and this is what's behind it. Just on one level. I mean, obviously we've talked about Palantir and Peter Thiel and all that. She gets into some of that in her video too, but there's something worse behind even that. But at the base, it's this self-promotion, incestuous to get another sucker in type nonsense. So
yeah, and I think clearly the most mind-boggling part for me is, I definitely believe in YouTube education. Like I learned a lot, I'm always watching stuff, but whenever I try to watch a little video to explain Forex, explain metaverse, it feels like people can't explain it. You know, they try so hard, but that's why I think this program, because the same winter break when I was watching Life, I was studying these crypto videos and all the series that you've done. And it's like only through watching these, you know, hours of investigation was I able to understand better. I mean, it makes no sense overall.
I appreciate that. There's nothing better than Life and Black Power media. It's the perfect it's the perfect combination. Right. Just you know, no, but that was actually, I mean, that is my own introduction and entrance into the discussion. It's not as an expert in economics. It is someone who has been following messaging for a long time. And once you go past the talking points, and she does the same thing in her video, you know, she pulls out the number, the dominant talking points and just shows how they're baseless. You know, from, you know, it's decentralized. Well, no, it's not. It's like a handful of exchanges and billionaires that have everything and miners that have everything. It's a hedge against inflation. Well, no, it's not. It can't be, you know, beyond the 21 million coins. Bitcoin can't be, you know, further produced and therefore devalued. Well, yes, it can. And as she points out, there's only, I think she shows it, it's only like 5 lines of code that keep it at 21 million. So it's not like at any point someone can't just change the code and boom, there's 100 million Bitcoin. So, I mean, it's just all, so she just goes through and that's all I was doing. It's just like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And then when you ask somebody, well, can you tell me, you know, and then you start reading what is supposed to be the literature. And it's like, hold up. This is bananas nuts.
It's nonsense. And frankly, none of it makes any sense. The fact that I get anything, and to Cameron's point, is because I watch your show and I watched it enough to know this is way too much. I don't care. And I don't think I'm ever going to understand it. So it just sounds like a pyramid scheme to me that is going to last because there's really, really, really rich people behind it. But it sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. Right.
There's
and so
the
like,
question.
I'm like,
I
don't give a shit how many wires and how much electricity funds this pyramid scheme. It's a pyramid scheme. Like,
that's it. Enoch has just crushed the whole chat.
Period. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Just that's going to be my response from now on. That's all I'm going to say. What's your argument against cryptocurrency? Can it free Ruchell?
Right.
And as soon as the person says, well, who's that? I'm going to say, see, and I'm out. That's it.
I know all I need to know.
That's it.
That's how you learn about the Satoshis. It's all about the Satoshis.
Got to get the Satoshis, man. Yeah. Anyway, but
I was just gonna say.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, just you're gonna learn that I am very late to watching movies. So I recently watched The Matrix for the first time as well. So it was
that's fine. I haven't seen it.
Okay, good.
That's fine.
Shout out to Mani.
I've seen about 30 minutes of that movie. It's fine.
See, I tried with Johnny Mnemonic too. We won't go into that. I didn't finish that one, but anyway. So you know, I've been learning more about cinema. Anyway, it feels like a lot of people just watch that as a youth. You know, I'm talking about the Elon Musks and these Mark Zuckerbergs, and it feels like they've almost dedicated their lives to realizing like versions of this, and it just feels very strange and like, I mean, there's just so much excitement around this whole idea of just putting goggles on and like losing the rest of the world.
It's gonna be great.
It's complicated. Yeah.
And
I have a new theory too.
Yeah, what's that?
It may not be new, but I mean, I'm just saying, it feels like metaverse and this whole like multiverse concept, even though we see in movies, is like the new fantasy. Like I think was kind of brought up earlier. The fantasy doesn't have to be this whole medieval whatever with dragons, but it can be, you know, this idea that this is our path to liberation. It's fantasy, you know.
That's what I've always thought. I've always thought that they're trying to live up to their nerd fantasies of back when they watched all of the old, like Minority Report and Matrix and, you know, like the precogs and like all of that stuff. I just honestly have always felt like they're trying to create that world that they've seen in the movies. I've absolutely thought that.
it certainly makes sense. And I mean, they've been telling us for decades that the future is going to be bleak. You know, it's a lot of suggestions that the future is going to be a mess. So, but one of the reasons why I think that we are all so confused and why what we're doing here at BPM is important is because in the madness of it all, you know, Byron Allen, the black billionaire, is suing Nielsen over alleged
He's always
fraud.
suing somebody.
Right, but it reminded me, but again, to your point, well, yes, you're right, but it also reminded me of the difference in meaning when people say black media, because there is black media that is black owned. There is black media that is owned by non-black, but targeting black audiences. And then there are combinations of the two from various political perspectives. And it, you know, and this one is certainly, from my point of view, a limited one. So that is, Byron Allen's media companies filed suit Wednesday against Nielsen, alleging the measurement company committed fraud by claiming it could accurately measure their TV networks when it really couldn't. So I got to stop and say that I can't help but point out that again, Nielsen is used by black-owned media to promote the concept of buying power back to black audience, back to white corporate audiences, to attract ad revenue that I'm saying are based on fraudulent calculations, etc., that are misinterpreted by black audiences with behind an intention that they do so, that this is a measurement of black economic strength. For then that same black owned media to come back and say that Nielsen should be sued for their fraudulent calculations is like, damn. And then the sister that they had put me juxtaposed with on one radio show on this issue that used to work for Nielsen came back herself, Cheryl Clark, I think it was last year or the year before, to sue Nielsen for racism. So I'm like, you use them to tell us that we have more money than we do so that you can attract ad revenue, but are quick to sue them for their racism and their racist miscalculations that prevent you, which is ultimately Alan's point, from attracting more ad revenue. Because if you can't tell people how many people are watching you with assurances from Nielsen, you can't tell ad buyers to spend more on your media. Anyway, just like, this is just, but it reminded me anyway of Alan's media holdings. You know, he's got 27 networks in 21 markets, entertainment studios with 12 24-hour high-definition TV channels serving 220 million cable subscribers, and Weather Group. But when you think about all that Alan has to offer in media, versus what we end up getting in content, it's again easy to understand why there is so much confusion. If I can just pull this up real quick. Among black and other audiences, because he, you know, so again, you know, this is just some of what he owns. The Griot, let's see. Okay,
well, he owns the Griot. That explains a lot.
Right. Yeah, he bought his company bought the Griot in, I think, 2016. And says it reaches more than 20 million annual visitors. Allen owns now one of the largest cable network portfolios in the industry, featuring 10 24-hour HD networks, the Weather Channel, Comedy.tv, Cars.tv. I don't know what that is. Justice Central. I'm assuming that's like judge reality shows. My Destination TV, Pets TV, Recipe, the Weather Channel in English and in Spanish. So you know, I mean, it's just fascinating to see him cry racism and all of this and that, and to look to garner support from Black communities. And then there's the content that he gives is very, you know, I don't know, politically useless.
Personally, I just want to complain about the fact that I would wake up in the middle of the night to his very, very, very corny Comics Unleashed show on that got put in syndication. I'd wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to hear them corny jokes, and I'm still mad. So that's all I have to say about this situation.
Well, you heard it here first. Imani's, you know, that is, you know, Imani's serious complaint against Byron Allen. You know, he must be stopped
at all costs.
At all costs. Oh, that's funny. Oh, what else is funny is that this link isn't working. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me see here. Yeah, hashtag stop Byron. Slightly potentially more damaging than Byron Allen. And then this is the only other story I wanted to bring up this morning. Are the remaining of the two Koch brothers. And I admit, in a very petty and trifling way, found this story to be hilarious because, again, as much as I appreciate Wall Street on Parade, they are very pro Ukraine. But as they said here, Koch says Ukraine doesn't matter to America's security and has refused to shut down his operations in Russia. Well, the short of it is, he said here, Ukraine simply doesn't matter to America's security or our prosperity. It's unfortunate for Ukraine. But the fact is, we won the Cold War with Ukraine being part of the Soviet Union. They just don't matter strategically. They're far away from us. They're even far away from some of our allies. So he was just like, I read this as like, it was very like Dick Cheney. It's very like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I shot you in the face.
Like, all that y'all talking, keep it over there.
Right. He's like, yeah, you can wave your flags all you want to, but I got business. I got money to make. I'm worth $53 billion by myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't stop every time you want us to, you know. So they're saying, you know, like unlike other 400 other corporations that have ceased to do business with Russia, Koch Industries are saying, nah, we're going to keep it moving because I'm trying to find the part where it says, yeah, because we have a $220 million plant that produces 900 tons of glass per day. You know, so we're not shutting that down. And then ultimately it's because Ukraine don't matter.
Ricky just said something super true in the chat. She was like, how that's how the U.S. has always approached Ukraine. And that's quite literally how the U.S. sees Ukraine right now. Like, Ukraine don't matter to the United States. Ukraine is like the middleman, right? Like, Ukraine is just the land we need to fuck with Russia, right? Like, and also by way of China too. So like, Russia still don't matter to the U.S. I mean, Ukraine still don't matter to the U.S.
It reminds me of that quote. What was it? Biden with it doesn't matter if Haiti rose up out of the sea or sunk into the sea. It doesn't matter much to our interest. The sea.
Oh, right.
Which like didn't even make sense as a comment. I'm like, what?
First of all,
you're clearly not a human.
Would care if a whole island sunk into the sea? Like,
yeah, I mean, but you know, but I'm just looking at it. I'm also like, you know, it's very also, you know, chickens coming home to roost. Like, you all created the Koch brothers. You all created a context where they could create a situation where they are largely unassailable because they have products. Their hands are in everybody's business and everybody's product. You all have created a situation where private capital can be very international in its application and its impact. You all create a situation where even people you claim are supposed to be enemies of the United States, or whose governments are antithetical to that of the United States, whether it's Saudi Arabia or whether it's China or whether it's Russia, you all create deals with them. You all keep building with them. So how now are you going to get mad at this dude when he says, I'm not going to shut it down now, because we might be at war with another one of our allies 5 minutes from now? You going to tell me to shut it down then too? Like, we can't, and then he's speaking to the bigger problem from their perspective. Capital has to be movable. Capitalism has to be dominant. So if one particular action can't be supported by every one of the capitalist elite, so be it. And I think it's also fun to see them beef with each other a little bit, bicker with each other a little bit.
Frankly, I just appreciate the fact that he's saying the quiet part out loud. I'm not gonna lie. Too much, he's one of the few people that's just like, this is what we do, right? This is what we capitalists do, right? Because think about it, like, the only reason why this pressure for him and other businesses to move out of Russia is literally just because of the propaganda campaign surrounding the situation in Russia. A whole bunch of countries, not just the United States, but other countries, do atrocious things to other countries literally every second of the day. And no one cares, right? The only reason why anyone cares now is because this is what America is pointing its collective attention on, right? So it's like, if you wouldn't have moved your business out of Russia, if nobody cared, then like there's no point in you moving. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all performative, and people are acting like your corporation is gonna fall apart because you stayed in Russia. Like, we have not been able to successfully boycott anything, and I don't know if we've ever been able to successfully, like, outside of the bus boycott, I don't know if we've ever been able to successfully boycott anything. And so, like, it just is all performative for like no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I mean, it just reminds me, who are the people who wanted all these Pizza Hut ads? You remember back in the 90s, they had Gorbachev up there, right? And Pizza Hut ad, and they were so bragging about McDonald's and Marlboro's getting into Russia. And then the whiplash, here we are 30 years later, roughly, pull all the business out. We can't do it. Even though we set up this political system from the early 90s. And then it just makes me think even all the way back, to that World War I period, where how the British and French, they had so much investment in Russia. That's why they fought on the same side of that war. I mean, and that's why they were so pissed when, of course, some socialists came up in there and were like, we're taking all this capital. So they play this long game, and then it ends up, coming back to roost, like we said. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know
I
that
remember,
they can do that. They know they can do that to us because we go along with it.
And to the point of this comment, I remember a couple weeks ago, or months at this point, seeing a story about how the U.S. military was redirecting its efforts to small, swift, and airborne and sea-based attack and capabilities in prediction of having to fight some sort of war or small war with China or something like that over Taiwan. So anyway,
I'm surprised Russia was the first. Honestly, the whole Russia thing surprised me, because we had been gearing up to focus all our attention on China and Taiwan, and then the stuff in Russia happened, and it completely sideswiped me because I'm still learning, international stuff. So I hadn't done my homework on Russia, so I was doing my homework on China, and so after this,
well, there's a lot to keep up with for sure.
Next.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to keep up with for sure. But that's why it is important to be in touch with Black Alliance for Peace and all the work that's going on around these parts. To keep up with all these situations, because it is a little bit difficult. One thing before we wrap up, that there's one thing I forgot to say earlier, or I think I forgot, is that I just want to reiterate. I caught at least most of it live. But the Warrior class from Saturday is again, the show is very dope and helpful. So shout out to Baba Balagoon and crew for that thoroughly enjoyable show. And, yeah, anyway, so please go back and check that out. I need to go back and finish it myself. I got interrupted, these daggone kids be interrupting with their desire to be parented. I mean, how dare they? It's just so,
Dang, you have
so
to do your
annoying.
job as a parent.
It's just so annoying to be interrupted with all of that parenting. I got a parent. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing this, Cameron, because one thing we did not mention here today is that you are also a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And big shout out to them as well. And this piece here, encouraging why we should oppose a no-fly zone over Ukraine, which is, obviously, as I think folks here are aware, is war. Because who's gonna make sure it stays a no-fly zone? And was there something in particular that you wanted us to know from this piece, or that you wanted to highlight in it?
Well, I mean, it's really great, the work that's been done. Yes, I am with the Party for Socialism and Liberation as well, and it's basically this link has like a downloadable brochure that it's going to be used for the community outreach to really talk to people, because some polls have shown that actually a good chunk of people are, somewhat like in favor of that whole no-fly zone concept, just because of the euphemistic nature of what it is. No-fly zone. You can't fully make out what it means just from the word. So it's really important that people get out there, with these different statements. I appreciate the things I'm seeing in the chat, and it's like we got to get out and talk about. No, it just means trying to provoke World War III. It means shooting down planes of other countries, but then saying, just switching the narrative. It's this terrible idea. Nobody wants this kind of war. I mean, except the same oligarchs who want to keep the entire system of exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
well,
people don't actually know what a no-fly zone is. Oh, sorry. People don't know what a no-fly zone is. They don't really understand, which is odd to me, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when people give me a rule, my first thought is, how are you going to enforce this rule? Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I guess maybe people don't think about it that way, because how do you enforce a no-fly zone? How do you enforce, like, how do you tell a plane that's already flying over Ukraine that it can't be there, right? You shoot it down, right? So I don't know why people are so high, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's an American thing, because, like, as Black people, we know what it means to be, constantly basically under siege, right? But like, I think just generally, like, America doesn't fully understand the ramifications of some of this stuff, right? And I think they're just so gung-ho because we see war, we're inundated with violence in our media, and we think that's what it's going to look like, I guess. And they don't fully comprehend the full-on devastation it'll cause, not just in that region, but like globally, the crisis it'll cause. Even if no atomic weapons are used, it's still, just, I don't think people fully understand that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, but that's okay, because in a couple weeks, Top Gun 2 comes out, so we get to see how you enforce a no-fly zone with the hottest new technology in a Tom Cruise movie. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be great. Can't wait for that joint. It's gonna be amazing.
I will say I have not seen Top Gun. Just had to throw that in there. There we go.
It's a great movie. It's classic American cinema that is directly connected in some arguments to increased levels of military recruitment. And again, I was called a Top Gun recruit when I joined the Navy, or signed up to serve my sentence in the Navy. But it wasn't Top Gun. It was the brother that lived next door to me in our apartment building, and he saw an Army recruiter leaving my house, our apartment, and he said, "No, you don't want to do that." And he started showing me pictures of his Navy time. and hanging out overseas and beaches and drinking and women and this, that, and the third. He was like, this is much better. So I was like, okay, well,
that's how he got you.
Sounds good. I mean, it was going to be one or the other. So I was like, that if it's easier, safer, and you drink on beaches with women, sure, of course I'd sign up for that. Of course, that wasn't exactly how it worked, but anyway, whatever. Listen, just real quick before we get out of here, Imani, just remind us again what's happening with at Brockport. Jalil Muntaqeen is coming up there. You said April 6th.
April 6th, he's coming for a lecture. My mentor just texted me because she was watching earlier, and she said it originally was open to just students and faculty. I'm not sure how that's changed, but I'll send you an update once I get more information about that. But yeah, April 6th. And
so not the public. Initially was not open to the public.
Right. And so now because of that, like I need to go back and just double check to see where it stands right now. Because when I looked, I thought it said open to the public. So I'm gonna go back and look again. And April 6th in the evening. And yeah, I'll just keep you guys updated if there's if the controversy gets a little bigger or if there's some sort of change, if the school releases a statement, I'll just keep you guys updated.
Right on, right on. Well, Coco, I hope you ended up finding something better. Anyway, I hope it worked out for you. Glad you could avoid it. If you anyway.
Yeah, I almost joined the National Guard and I was too fat, so that saved me. Because I swim.
Okay.
So I was gonna do National Guard or like the
At the time I thought there was at the time I thought that flat feet might save me, but or stop me from getting in. And at that moment I was worried that because I thought if they didn't let me in, I'd have to get locked up. But that was not an issue at that point anymore. They were like, here's some inserts. get to work. Yeah, right, exactly. But actually at the time, in that moment, I wanted to get in because I was under the impression that it was either the Navy or prison.
That or jail.
So so I was like, in that moment where there was a thought that I might not get in because of my flat feet, I was a little bit worried. Yeah, anyway. And then they asked me if I wanted to do the Navy SEAL thing because I think I did well on some boot camp entrance physical thing. And then so they said, if you can run a mile, swim a mile, and then do a certain amount of push-ups in a certain amount of time, you can make, you could qualify to then go to their boot camp. And I thought about it because I was like, that sounds exciting. But then they said you have to sign up for a minimum of 4 more years. And I was like, nah, I'm getting out immediately. So never mind. Let's go to plan B, which was,
no, thank you.
Custodial work mostly. Anyway, Cameron, thank you again very much for the webinar. I look forward to people being able to see it, on our channel in just a few minutes. Big ups to you. Any last thoughts on and just remind us again of what people need to do to support Ruchell, and any other concluding thoughts for today. And thanks again to the both of you for joining me this morning.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Dr. Ball and Imani for sharing this space, and to the whole Black Power Media team. Very much appreciate being here. Just want to briefly share, that Ruchell, in his own words, is still fighting to get the truth to the real people who want growth in the human race. He says, truth is the right medicine. We must fight to win. So that means, these are words that show that his spirit will never be broken. I mean, frankly, that's the most important thing here, is that it's important that we build not only a national or a California base, but a global movement to free this elder. I mean, just the fact, 16 to 83. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
That's all I should have to say, but it's such a complex issue. It's about the abuse of Black people by the state, youth and elder abuse. police brutality, a prison system, the war on drugs, as they call it. It just connects to so much, including like the healthcare within prisons, the fact that he's 83 on a walker, and lived, 3 years in the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, 2-3 years. Absolutely horrendous treatment. He's not eligible for parole until July 2024, which will be his 85th birthday. Well, after his 85th birthday, which makes no sense. How do you extend someone's parole 3 years when they're already 82 at least? So we really want to get the word out. Definitely contact us at freeruchellmagee@gmail.com. If you want to learn more or get materials or hold your own public education event, if you have any questions or want to know more about the campaign, reach out there. And just visit www.freeruchellmagee.org to see everything from donations to more about Ruchell's case, to instructions on how to write to Ruchell or to write in support of Ruchell. These are all the kinds of things that we can do together, but not as individuals.
Right on. Definitely appreciate you. Definitely everybody go support that link. It's in the show notes. It's in the show description, whether you're seeing this live or later. And big thing. Thanks to the both of you again. I do have to, I acknowledge the contradiction. I was impressed by the Navy SEALs. I'm impressed by their training. I've seen a couple of documentaries on it. I think it's impressive, contradictions aside. So Lady K Mosley, that you did that is I think I have to say, I think it's amazing what they have to go through. I would have, but to Shirley's point, there was no. I would have been protected from the co-option for no other. The baseline politics I was raised with would not have let me be fully co-opted, and the lack of dedication to what I'm sure Lady K had to go through, I would not have done it. I would have not made it through Buds. I'd have been ringing that bell probably that first night. I'd have been like, nah.
No more.
Like my man says, shout out to old school NBA. I'll do nah, B. I'm out. Anyway, look, thanks Imani, thanks Cameron, thanks to all the remixers, everybody, to those who are seeing this live. Thanks for showing up. To those who will see this later, big shout out to you as well on all the podcast platforms as well. Please do check out the full webinar on the channel and support the work that Cameron has really been crushing lately. Really appreciate you. And Imani, please keep us up to date and come on back anytime. It's always good to get a remixer on board. So, you know what I mean? It's great. And as always, like Fred Hampton used to say, to you, we say peace because we know that you are willing to fight for it. So peace, everybody. Catch you next time right here on I Mix What I Like. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.